day's a day, a bad luck's always a coming my way.
Today we have a very special video. At the time of recording this, it is December 11th, 2022, which means actress Myla, famously known as Vampira, was born 100 years ago today. And we're inside Hollywood Forever Cemetery here in Hollywood, California, for a little birthday celebration. Now, the reason that we're here at Hollywood Forever Cemetery is because Hollywood Forever Cemetery, as well as the people who are close to her, I'm talking like family members and friends, have put together a little birthday celebration, like a wreath laying. And we're here for it. Now, this isn't Myla grave. It's just Jessica's never been out to the island here at the cemetery, so we decided to walk up to it. And it's got an actual knocker. If somebody answers, all's quiet the way that it should be.
Young man, who are you? What is this? Won't you come in, Mr. Goble? We can have a nice little... Step on the cat's tail. I don't see any cat. Oh, we don't have a cat. Just his tail.
The past couple days, it's actually been raining here in Southern California. This sun that we got right now, it's completely unexpected. It just so happens to be for the hour that we're here in the cemetery for Myla. And then it's supposed to start raining, storming again. So we're gonna kind of take it and explore a little bit. We're here a little early. This should be rather dark and spooky. We got a few special surprises today. It's always nice visiting her grave. Each time we come here, there's always something very unique at her stone.
You know what I'm talking about?
I've actually seen this paper doll before and I've wanted it. It's nice that somebody left it here for her birthday. Myla, 1922 to 2008. Vampira. Hollywood legend. A very special woman. Always remembered. Oh wow, yeah, I really like this one too. And the weather's just perfect. This is just our way of documenting our time here in Hollywood. December 11th, 2022, Vampira's 100th birthday. A lot of people here, a lot of love.
I'm sure one of those will be okay.
I'm gonna get one more of you for our thumbnail. So just you're perfect right there. Huh. Move your more towards that way, just a little bit. Perfect. And
my name is Chanel O'Farrell. I'm a manager here at Hollywood Forever, and I just want to thank all of you for helping make this Vampira Day. On what would have been Myla 100th birthday. What a special day, what a special gathering. Thank you all for representing the plethora of fans that maybe couldn't be with us this afternoon, but are certainly thinking about her on this day. I had the privilege of being a small part of the ceremonies back when Myla was laid to rest here. But this is not a memorial service. This is a celebration of life and legacy. But I mention it just to say that having been here for quite a while now, we have seen the continuous stream of fans, young and old, that continue to come here to seek out her gravesite, to come pay their respects. And that is just such a testament to the legacy that she leaves with her work, with just being the icon that she was and the icon that she created. So that is what we are celebrating here today, and of course, what it would have been her 100th birthday. So thank you so much for being a part of it. We are going to get started, and we have our very own icon, icon of the cemetery, Miss Carrie Bible, who is so knowledgeable of Hollywood history, and I think is just a wonderful person to help start this celebration.
This will probably be the first time in my life I've ever gotten applause for like standing upright. Okay, thank you so much. It's a real honor to be here today. I've been the tour guide at Hollywood Forever Cemetery since February of 2002. And I meet a lot of interesting people and I see a lot of interesting things. And one of the things that always strikes me when I give tours here is the reaction of the public, because there are about a handful of graves here that when I get to them on the tour, people light up, their faces, their eyes, they get excited, they want to talk about them, ask questions. We've got A-listers, rock stars, Oscar winners, we've got all sorts of incredible people at the cemetery, but Vampira is still one of the most beloved, popular, and asked about, and it always gives me such a thrill to see the excitement and the joy that she elicits. And really, she has such an incredible legacy. Of course, as you all doubtless know, she was the first ever horror hostess on television. And she inspired so many people who would follow in her footsteps. She's inspired painters, writers, artists, all sorts of creative people have sought inspiration from Vampira. I decided it would be fun to dress as her today, just as a nod or a tip of the hat to the legend. But Vampira really is an incredibly singular and unique woman in all of Hollywood history. And I'm so excited that we can be here today to celebrate her life and her legacy. So I look forward to hearing next from Dana Gould, who knew her, who was friends with her, and I think could share a lot more about what she was like to know as a person.
Thank you all for coming. This is really impressive and gratifying. I only want to talk for 2 hours, but no, I'll be brief. I knew about Vampira long before I met her, like a lot of people my age, growing up loving horror movies and things like that, reading Famous Monsters and all that stuff. I knew about Vampira. I was a huge fan of Plan 9 from Outer Space, ironically, and I knew it was bad. I loved that it was bad. And I had the lobby card I had Vampira's lobby card from the movie that, that I bought in Boston for like $3, and now it's worth probably $7. No, it's it was just one of those things. You would just flip through bins, and I still have the one that I bought. It's so I always knew her. Ed Wood came out in 1994 and really upped the awareness of that world, which was always my favorite world. And it was a big part of one of the reasons that I wanted to live in Los Angeles as opposed to New York. I love the whole idea of that element of show business and that group. And it's interesting, Los Angeles to me was always symbolized by palm trees. I was a kid in Massachusetts growing up, watching TV shows, and I would just see palm trees, and they were so foreign to me. And when I first got to California and I saw a palm tree, that's what made me realize, oh my God, I'm really here. I really live in California. I actually accomplished a goal. And I'll circle back to why that's important. So years go by, and I ended up doing a TV series called The Big Scary Movie Show, which was basically me hosting horror movies and talking about them in between. And it sort of fulfilled Andy Kindler's appraisal of my chosen audience of men my age who are me. And when the first movie we showed was the original Dracula, and I wanted to interview Myla Nurmi because she was in Plan 9 from Outer Space and knew him. And we had a connection, my friend Carol Hernandez, who worked at Hollywood Book and Poster. And so Carol introduced us. Myla didn't have a phone, and she introduced us by letter. And Myla came to our studio, and I interviewed her. I loved talking to her. I had a great time. She left. I wrote her a thank you letter. She wrote me back. I wrote her back. I asked her to lunch. We went to lunch. She wrote me a thank you. I wrote her back. And in 1995, we became pen pals. And we would write 1 to 2 letters a week. We'd just go back and forth. And over the course of, I was friends with Myla from 1995 until her passing in 2008. And Myla watched, helped me grow up. When I met Myla, I was a guy with a girlfriend. With Myla, I got married, bought a house, became a parent. And she was, we talked the whole time, and she gave me great advice. And, over time, I helped Myla, I made her get a phone. She moved a couple of times, and I learned a lot about myself from Myla. And Myla moved to Los Angeles to become someone else, like so many people do. And she succeeded in it twice. She was born Myla, I'm going to defer to Sandra for the pronunciation, Siranemi?
Nimi.
Siranemi? Myla Siranemi? You'd think I'd know by now.
Well, she was born Myla Elizabeth Nimi because when her mother and father got married, my grandfather had changed his name from Siranemi to Nimi.
Okay.
And so my grandmother and my dad and Myla remained Nimis when he changed back to Siranemi.
Okay, so he changed, so she was
that's
never
why Myla
officially
became
Siranemi.
Normi. She was married to her dad.
I'm glad that's all straightened out, and I've just lost a bet. No, she was born, as you said, Myla Nimi, born in Gloucester, Massachusetts. Like me, a masshole. And she moved to LA and became Myla Nurmi from Petsamo, Finland. And from that, she created that first version of herself, and then she created Vampira. And the interesting thing about Vampira is she came here to pursue a very traditional show business career through traditional show business channels. And when that didn't work, she went around them. But she never lost her integrity, ever. She dressed up as Morticia Addams for a costume ball here in Hollywood called the Bal Carib. But Morticia Addams was not what you think of when you think of the Addams Family TV show. In the original cartoons in the New Yorker, which is all it was at the time, the TV show didn't premiere until 10 years after this. She was very drab, very plain. That's how Myla dressed. She was offered a job by KABC to recreate that image and host horror movies. And she said, I don't want to rip off Charles Addams. I'm not going to do it. So she went off and she created this unique character that we now know as Vampira. She brought it back and they said, great, do it. Ironically, 10 years later, when the Addams Family premiered, Morticia Addams didn't look like Morticia Addams in the cartoons. She looked like Vampira. But Myla never wanted to abandon her sense of being an artist, which is really what she was from the get-go. It was a local show, and it was only on for 2 years, but she became a national celebrity from it. And then through Plan 9 from Outer Space, more than anything else, she became somewhat iconic because the footage, there's very little footage of the show, but as you all know, Plan 9 is eternal. I remember one time we would go to Musso and Frank's all the time, and we were walking out of Musso and Frank's, and we were looking up at the palm trees, and she looked at me. She goes, it's funny. They're not even from here. They were trucked in in the 20s and the teens from Florida to create, the realtors are trying to create the illusion of a desert oasis. And that's why this place has palm trees, because they're not indigenous. And she pointed down to the stars on Hollywood Boulevard and she goes, and none of these people are here either. They're all in Malibu or Forest Lawn. and that to me, Myla is like a palm tree to me. She is not indigenous, but she represents everything I love about this place. I wanted to read you something, a brief thing from a letter, just because. No, it was actually the perfect ring. Thanks for calling right now. I'm at the cemetery. No, it was great. Call back again in 10 minutes. I wanted to read you this letter. I won't read it all, but the one thing was, because of there's very little footage of the Vampira show, and she doesn't talk in Plan 9. She had dialogue in Plan 9. She didn't want to say it. She's like, what if I don't talk at all? But she was really funny. Genuinely dry, funny person. And so I want to tell you this. I'm going to read two parts of this letter, and then we have a surprise for you. Come on out. No. By the way, you might notice that Darren McGavin is right there, who famously played a vampire hunter on television. That's not a coincidence. When I was looking at plots, I saw him and I saw this and I went, oh, that's funny. On Halloween in 1997, the Cinerama Dome showed Plan 9 at midnight. And I took her to see it. And there was a really beautiful moment because, we just are sitting there and she's an elderly person and no one had any idea who she was. But it was full, and when Vampira came on screen, the place went nuts. And I got to sit there with her and watch her see that. And that was great. And she said the funniest thing when she came out, she went, oh, there she is. And whenever we would drive around and she would see a goth girl, she would go, oh, there she is. So I'm going to just read you this. It's very funny. Now, as you know, Myla's niece Sandra Niemi wrote Nimi. I say Niemi all the time. It's Nimi, correct? Nimi. Wrote a really wonderful book about Myla's life called Glamour Ghoul, and she's going to be signing copies at 5 o'clock at the Cinematheque. If you're interested, clearly you are. It's a great read, and one of the things you'll learn from the book is that Myla had a very complicated relationship with Orson Welles, and so I'll just going to read you this. She wrote me this after Halloween, after Plan 9. Thank you for your interesting observations on Plan 9. I had one too last Friday night. As I prepared to leave for the movie theater, the radio was broadcasting War of the Worlds. It was the last time I'd ever heard. It was the first time I'd ever heard it. Orson's voice quickly snatched me back to 1946 and a young me with Orson in Manhattan. Pleasant recall. Me a happy, less damaged parcel of goods, etc. Then I snapped back to the present and Orson speaks. The Earth, solar driftwood. He sounds like Criswell. My God, it sounds like Plan 9. Why didn't anyone ever tell me? Then to the theater, the movie again. Afterwards, the radio was once again broadcasting War of the Worlds. Yes, it's definitely Plan 9. I suppose you already knew this. Then there's a bunch of stuff we had about a project we were going to do. And then I had suggested that since her birthday was coming up in December, that we go to the Ivy for her birthday. And she said, not the Ivy. No, thank you. Such a vulgarly immoral expenditure at my behest would humiliate me. Reckless reckless waste of money pains my frugal soul. But it's a fun suggestion. She was always, like, I grew a goatee in 94 because it was mandatory. And she accused me of going Hollywood. Come on. I've just realized my favorite restaurant. 1, it's tiny. 2, there are no windows. 3, the walls are lined in raw liver. All the food is laced with alcohol. Yes, smart boy, you guessed it. My mother's womb. Myla's mom was something of a tippler. But that just gives you a sense that, you know, she was a hoot, you know, and that's why, as Chanel said, this isn't a memorial. This is a birthday celebration. She was a funny woman, full of life, full of amazing stories, and I'm a much better person for getting to know her, and she really affected the people that met her. When I'd gotten a job. I had a full-time job on a writing staff, and I had just had we had gotten our first baby, and so I was very, very busy. And then Myla got evicted from where she was living because the city was bulldozing the building, and it was a tall order to get a first floor apartment within 4 blocks of a grocery store for an elderly woman on a fixed income that did not require crossing more than 4 lanes of traffic to get to a food source. And she had a dog and a cat. And it was a tall order for a guy that was sleeping 4 hours a night and working full time. So I went to Halloween Town, which is a store in Burbank, and another reason that I live here in Los Angeles, because they have a store that's about Halloween all year round. Yeah. Here's my joke. Halloween is when people you don't know come to where you live and take all your stuff. The next big holiday is Thanksgiving, or as Native Americans call it, Halloween. So I walked into Halloween Town, and I pointed to a Vampira t-shirt. And I said to the woman behind the counter, "Do you know anybody that I can pay to help me find an apartment for the woman on that t-shirt?" And they said, "Yes," without blinking, as if my coming was predicted in their ancient texts. "A tattooless figure will enter the building. Be not afraid." And through that, they introduced me to a wonderful guy who helped me and Myla for many years. If you're a fan of Rob Zombie, you might know him as a member of Rob's band, Piggy Demon. But I know him by his real name, Pig Demon. His real name is Matt Montgomery, and he is here with his daughter, Myla Montgomery, right there. Yeah. So lastly, I wanted to introduce a very good friend of mine who has something for Sandra as a gift from the city of Los Angeles. Please welcome, from Los Angeles Magazine, star of stage, screen, and song, Chris Nichols.
How do you follow Dana Gould? Do you know it's kids, animals, and Dana Gould? I'm a historian. I love old Los Angeles. I was on the board of Hollywood Heritage, and just wanted to take a moment to be grateful for this wonderful place, Hollywood Forever, and all the great landmarks that remind us of who came before and what came before. And when I was a kid, I was really into the Three Stooges. And so I started calling people out of the phone book. I called Emil Sitka, I called Ed Burns, I called Mo's daughter Joan. And, you know, I was trying to do a little newsletter, and I was really kind of bummed that all the fandom was on the East Coast. And I thought, well, it all happened here. Why isn't it here? And every one of them, even Joe Besser, every one of them was so thoughtful and caring about people that appreciated their work, people that, you know, decades after they had done it. And they inspired me as a 12-year-old to keep going. And I mean, the community of Hollywood, you know, even if we see somebody on a screen or we hear about them decades after they did their work, it's still so alive and it's still so much a part of some of our lives. And I'm sure many of us have had that same experience where we see something and it speaks to you, you know, even through the mist of time and of space. So of course, Historic Places help bring that back. And tonight, a lot of us are going to be at the Historic Los Feliz Theater, which I'm really looking forward to see this movie. Two of these movies. So we have Proclamation here. I'm not a city official. I am a reverend, but I am not a city official. But I can tell you what our council member said to the Nimi family and to Myla from City Hall. I picked this up at City Hall just a couple days ago. The City of Los Angeles and the 4th District proudly recognizes the life of Myla Nurmi, who has played a huge role in cinema for many years of her life, especially in her most popular character as Vampira. We strongly commend Myla Nurmi's groundbreaking television series, The Vampira Show, and an appreciation for her artistry in numerous films, including Plan 9 from Outer Space, The Beat Generation, and others. An appreciation of her as a female role model, an inspiration to generations of fans, in commemoration of this tribute at the American Cinematheque, thank you. She touched the lives of those she crossed paths with, and her memory will live on through all those who were lucky enough to know her loving and thoughtful spirit. We remember her life and her lasting impact on all who knew her. Signed December 11th, 2022 by Nithya Raman, Council Member, 4th District. So I'd like to present this to Sandra and the Nimi family. And we'll see you tonight at the Los Feliz Theater. And Dana, do you want to come back? Or yeah, thank you.
Hey, Chris Nichols, everybody, give him a nice round of applause.
Thank you.
Sandra, would you like to say a few words to people here?
I haven't prepared anything.
Neither did I, but I just pulled it out. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, Myla's niece, Sandra Nimi.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I just want to say thank you for everyone that is here today, every one of you who loved Myla. If she only knew how many fans she has. You know, I didn't see Myla for 31 years. I saw her when her mother, my grandmother, died in 1957, and then we couldn't find her. We didn't know that she was going by the name Helen Heaven and Melrose Rose. And when my father died, her only sibling, we tried to find her to notify her. Even the Red Cross couldn't find her. And I didn't know if she was dead or alive. And then in 1988, I got the Star magazine, and there was the lawsuit between Elvira and Vampira. That's how I found my Aunt Myla. And I wrote to her lawyers and enclosed a private letter for them to give the letter to Myla. And she wrote back to me within 3 days. I got in Oregon a letter from Myla. And then we started writing letters back and forth, and I found a way to get to Los Angeles, and we shared a glorious week in August of 1989 together. And we got along so well. And, you know, I always wondered, I'm an only child. And Myla had just my father as a sibling. And I was like my father, but not exactly. And I was nothing like my mother. I'm like Myla. I was shocked at how many similarities our lives. When I really dug into her life to write the book, I went, well, that happened to me. That's just like me. I finally knew where I came from. It was Myla. And I'm so happy that you're all here to celebrate her for her 100th birthday. Happy heavenly birthday, Myla. And I guess that's all I have to say, but thank you, everyone.
There's no topping that. So I'd just like to say on behalf of Hollywood Forever Cemetery and on behalf of Sandra and Chris and Chanel and Carrie and Myla, thank you very, very much for coming down, taking the time today. She would have been 100 today, and you know, she's still around everywhere, and that's great. That's as it should be. And I hope that you can come tonight. If not, we'll see you another time. But this was really wonderful, and as her friend, I will just say thank you very much. All right, that's all. Happy birthday, Myla. I'll go to the Ivy anyway.
This has been really nice.
Actually, I have still one. Or you'll have 2 boxes. 2 boxes. How about that? Bye, Mike. You look great. Thank you.
Well, let's say our goodbyes for today. We live right down the street, so this is just in our backyard.
Why? That's my American.
Everybody's coming over and placing their flowers that they brought.
You're saying, all right, so it's P-E-R-R-Y.
My husband's
That was a beautiful little ceremony.
I will find you.
That is one beautiful wreath. And hopefully you guys can see it because of the sun, but there's a little banner here that says Happy 100th Birthday. Never in a million years did I ever think that we'd get to attend the 100th birthday of Myla Nurmi, Vampira. And the family and the friends of the family were absolutely amazing. They even gifted us with a couple different photos. Here's one of Vampira in the crypt over in Woodlawn Cemetery. We did a video on this location. They gave us another photo right here, as well as a couple different autographed photos. Here is an 8x10 of Myla Nurmi as Vampira. And what's really cool about this, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little blemish right here, and the family told us that Myla Nurmi herself actually took a Sharpie and crossed off the blemish, like she filled it in, so you can actually see that. And then there's a little 8x10 of Plan 9 from Outer Space with her signature right there as well.
Happy Halloween.
Perfect.
Wherever I come, bad luck just comes my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.